Hello everyone, very logical day to all of you. And yes, here we are with the discussion of this editorial from the Indian Express of December 23, 2023. Let's see what it has. On suspension of 151 MPs, Manoj Kumar Jha writes, I hope I am not compelled to write another piece soon with the title RIP Indian Democracy. Matlab, now, as I've told you, kindly keep your notebooks and your pen, a smooth writing pen ready with you so that you are able to note down a few pointers that I give you. Here, RIP Indian democracy can be called as a hyperbole. Okay, HYPERBOLE. This is one figure of speech that you can understand from this heading. Now, no individual should have the authority to dismiss or exclude members from parliament business in a manner that changes the composition of the house. पूरी तरीके से उसका composition change हो जाता है क्योंकि एक lopsided तरीका हो जाएगा वो. This goes against the principles of democracy. That is the author's point. On the anniversary of the 2001 terror attack on the Parliament of India, the security of the new Parliament building was breached. Breach, violation, transgression, right? Break से breach होता है, violate से violation होता है और transgress से transgression बनता है. The noun formation and the verb formation. So the government sought first to downplay the incident. बहुत ज़्यादा importance नहीं दी government ने. Probably because now the author is coming up with a reason also. The breach was explicitly facilitated by the office of one of the MPs of the BJP. The disquiet among the opposition members grew because Home Minister Amit Shah, who seems to have an opinion on virtually every subject under the sun, वर्चुअली एवरी सब्जेक्ट अंडर द सन, मतलब जो कुछ भी पूछा जाए हर चीज का जवाब है उनके पास. ये भी एक एग्जाम्पल हो जाता है हाइपरबोल का. It did not deem it important to appraise the parliament about the security breach. To deem it important means he did not consider it important, he did not mention it to the parliament himself, and the measures taken by his ministry in response. In a shocking refusal to make a statement on the floor, the Home Minister has displayed what can only be called a willful dereliction of national duty. Dereliction means abandonment, you can say, neglect, you can say, the meaning of dereliction, right? So the author's point of view is quite visible here. Astoundingly, a large number of MPs were expressing their concern and pressurizing the government to give up indifference on a matter of national security have been suspended. So they were concerned, they expressed concern कि मतलब ऐसे अगर हो जाता है न्यू पार्लियामेंट बिल्डिंग पर तो फिर it should not happen. So you're concerned about it. The rest of the country is concerned, and this is a problem, a national problem, right? So suspensions this week follow an already strong trend of excluding and targeting MPs whose voices have helped focus the nation's attention on matters of grave social, legal, and economic concerns. Discipline and propriety seem a cover. That means what is said, the reason about the suspension, given for the suspension is that maintaining the discipline and the proprietary of the institute, right? Now, this seems to be just a cover for the actual reason whether opposition MPs are being targeted in many several cases, right? तो ये एक और केस ऐसा हो जाता है जहां पे एक मौका मिल जाता है MPs of the opposition party को हटाने का या सस्पेंड करने का. According to the author, it is only a cover. While safeguarding the dignity of the House and maintaining discipline is an important prerequisite, that means something is of prime importance, of democratic parliamentary functioning, we must ask ourselves what this requirement is aimed at. Is the claim of being the mother of democracy just a jumla? So, what is a jumla? A flippant and hollow phrase. Flippant का meaning भी नहीं पता है तो you flip side, flip the coin, right? Flip the question. अगर तुमने KBC कभी देखा है तो flip is the other side और flippant is जो जल्दी से sides change करता है. तो जुमला क्या है? ये flippant and hollow phrase है, किसी काम का नहीं है, not giving much importance. So discipline without deliberation and care is just abuse. Discipline आप लाना चाहते हो लेकिन यू आर नॉट डिलिबरेटिंग, यू आर नॉट थिंकिंग ओवर दैट, सोच विचार नहीं है, तो फिर ये अब्यूज ही माना जाएगा, नथिंग serious there. Now, one of the avenues from which parliament draws power is the power of self protection. ठीक है, तो पार्लियामेंट को पावर कहाँ से मिलती है? आई एम एंटाइटल्ड टू प्रोटेक्ट माई सेल्फ, so सेल्फ प्रोटेक्शन है ही सी पार्लियामेंट का. इट इज अ मैटर ऑफ रिग्रेट that the parliament of India has been reduced to a house that fails to take self protection seriously, or worse, a parliament that fails in self protection quite literally. So there are two meanings: one contextually of self protection, second literally. So self protection of a parliament literally would mean uske premises. वहां पे अगर breach हुआ है तो then they are not able to protect themselves, right? Secondly, अगर एक figurative sense लेते हैं self protection का, तो parliament stands for democracy, तो इनके democracy को भी protection मिलना चाहिए. Again, according to this incident, the parliament has failed. Now, the author is explaining this. So, in literal sense, this self-preservation pertains to the physical security of the building and the persons working there. The author has explained it. This is heightened by the fact that the building and the members of parliament are rendered symbolically more important because they represent all of India's citizens. Indeed, the nation itself, why? Because the people have elected them to come to the parliament. ठीक है, तो अक्रॉस द कंट्री लोगों ने उन्हें इलेक्ट किया है, तो जाके वो पार्लियामेंट में बैठते हैं. नाउ, figurative sense, it pertains to protecting the sanctity of the democratic processes. तो सेल्फ प्रोटेक्शन क्या होगा, सेल्फ प्रिजर्वेशन क्या होगा पार्लियामेंट का, कि पार्लियामेंट स्टैंड्स फॉर डेमोक्रेसी, तो डेमोक्रेटिक प्रोसेसेस को भी सेव करना चाहिए, सेफ गार्ड करना चाहिए. When Senior Minister Piyush Goyal sought to justify the record-breaking number of suspensions of opposition MPs by alleging that the opposition does not want the House to run, he conveniently forgot that Parliament is not bereft of morals. तो पार्लियामेंट में मॉरल्स पूरी तरीके से खत्म हो गए हैं या लैक है, इनसफिशिएंट, ऐसा नहीं है. तो वहां पे कुछ लोग तो होंगे जो अपने मॉरल्स या सिद्धांतों को या प्रिंसिपल्स को ध्यान में रखते हैं. तो parliamentarians cannot be expected to unquestioningly submit to the mass production of legislation by the executive without any application of mind. इसका मतलब बिना दिमाग लगाए आप ये एक्सपेक्ट नहीं कर सकते हो कि पार्लियामेंटेरियंस जो हैं वो एक मास प्रोडक्शन ऑफ लेजिस्लेशन को भी विदाउट थिंकिंग दे आर गोइंग टू से यस टू इट. So they have to come up with that discussion and deliberation. That is what the author says. The descent of MPs to the unprecedented abuse of democracy by the government and the enabling of this abuse by the chairs of the two houses cannot be termed a disruption of parliament. Right? So dissent is disagreement. So now if the MPs are disagreeing to an action taken by the government, so this disagreement is not equal to a disruption, that is a disturbance in the parliament. अगर हम डिसएग्री करते हैं, ठीक है, इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि हम पार्लियामेंट में डिस्टरबेंस लेके आ रहे हैं. हम डिसएग्री करेंगे, क्यों? क्योंकि हमारे पास वी हैव दैट मच राइट टू थिंक और डिस्कस समथिंग. You just can't, in a very authoritative or autocratic manner, you just can't take decisions like this, right? This is what the author says. So, a virtual exclusion of the opposition by suspension is an unparalleled, shameful episode in India's parliamentary history. ये author का judgment है, व्यू पॉइंट है, ओपिनियन है, जो उन्होंने कहा है. ये जो सस्पेंशन है अनप्रेसिडेंटेड, ऐसा पहले कभी नहीं हुआ, and a shameful episode. This should not have happened. Already, the BJP ran parliamentary business with open contempt for democratic values, even if they repeatedly faced embarrassment due to shoddy legislation and no stakeholder consultation. Right? So, there have been instances where no discussion has been taken by the stakeholders, they have not been consulted also, and the decisions have been taken. The tactics of mass exclusion of opposition MPs have rendered the entire Parliament of India a chamber of silence, a giant rubber stamp. The upper and lower houses of Parliament, including the well of the House, are not meant to be ritual places where everyone must perform according to the prescribed order. रिचुअल प्लेसेस, रिलीजियस प्लेसेस, वर्शिप जहाँ पे करना है, किस तरीके से करना है, वो होता है उधर. They're just customary to behave in a particular manner if you go to a worship place. But then this parliament is not that worship place. So it is no place of worship where the priest commands the devotees to bow their heads in supplication. Everyone knows that the people of India do not elect the prime minister. Although the BJP continuously runs election campaigns as a vote for the PM. What is often not recognized but is important to highlight is that Indian voters do not merely elect a government, they also elect an opposition. तो हम गवर्नमेंट को इलेक्ट करते हैं, हाँ, लेकिन जो ऑपोजिशन वाले लीडर्स हैं, जो ऑपोजिशन वाले एमपीज हैं, वो भी तो इलेक्ट होके आए हैं ना. दैट मीन्स देयर आर पीपल ऑफ अ डिफरेंट पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू आल्सो. Right? So it is not necessary that whatever the ruling party says, the opposition has to agree to it unconditionally. No. This is what he's saying. The opposition represents the diversity of views among the Indian electorates and is tasked with the important role of critiquing the government and thereby strengthening people's interest in the legislative and even the policy making process. Right. So that means what? The opposition should also be a strong one and a rational one also. Not just opposing for the sake of opposing. No. But then, yes, coming up with a different point of view and then deliberating on the matter and coming up with the best and what is best for the whole country and for a future, wo hona chahiye. Arrogance of the BJP, led by PM Modi and HM Shah, has reached astounding proportions now. No MP should not face suspension without first being heard by an impartial and experienced forum. Right? So that means everybody should get a chance to speak his mind, and then suspension hai ya nahi hai, alag baat hai. While the Parliament of India has the power to constitute itself, it has no provision to alter the composition of the House by any measure whatsoever except through election by the electorate of that constituency. उन्हें अगर सस्पेंड कर दिया गया है, कोई और अगर आएगा उनकी जगह पर, तो that person should also be an elected one from the same constituency. Indeed, in India, even the electorate has no power to recall an MP once elected. With this kind of mass suspension, we can see and hear the arrival of an authoritarian state. We can see and hear का मतलब हो गया कि ये एक इंडिकेशन दे रहा है कि ये जो काम हुआ है अभी, it is indicating that authoritarian state is developing now. Right? Autocracy is soon setting in, you can say. It loves to use fear and intimidation to suppress the opposition, maintain complete control over all institutions. If the idea to suspend the parliamentarians was to have a chilling effect means कोई ऐसा कर देगा, you are unable to respond now. Discouraging others from asking critical questions and challenging the status quo due to the fear of similar punitive measures. Critical questions means those questions, such questions that are very strategically important. उसके ऊपर जवाब देना बड़ा clarity होना चाहिए सबको. ठीक है, तो वो important है, crucial है. Punitive measures, punitive means punishing. Let me convey that history shall judge this regime as one of those who came through the route of democracy to kill the spirit of parliamentary democracy. तो आए तो डेमोक्रेसी की तरफ से, लेकिन पार्लियामेंट की डेमोक्रेसी जो है उसकी स्पिरिट को ही खत्म कर दिया. This is the author's parting statement, you can say. Right? So that's all for today, and I hope you have found a few new words, understood this article a little better than when you read it on your own. That's all for today, and thank you, and stay logical.